Thank you for joining us today. My name is Kanaya Lakhani and I am a team member for the Legal Amity. To start, I think it would be a great idea for our viewers to get to know a little bit more about you. So please tell us a bit about yourself.
Sure. So my name is Dan Neidle. I am the UK Head of Tax for Clifford Chance.
Nice, great. And for the first question though, I'd like to ask, why did you choose Clifford Chance and what advice would you give to trainees about starting out?
So everything I did and how I got here is a complete fluke and was largely undeserved, and no one should model or try and emulate how I did it. I'll tell you, what's my story? My story is that I studied physics at university, and actually I wasn't very good at it and I didn't enjoy it much. And I decided that what I really wanted to be was a lawyer. And I wanted to be a crusading criminal barrister because it sounded fun. So I did a couple of mini pupilages and then discovered it didn't really suit me. I didn't like criminals. I didn't want to prosecute them either. So that wasn't for me. What then? I still wanted to be a lawyer, but I didn't really know how. I kind of thought maybe I should go into intellectual property litigation because I had that physics degree, intellectual property, and I liked the sound of litigation, sounded kind of fun and lawyerly. So maybe that's what I should do. And I applied to firms that I thought were good at IP litigation. And that meant two firms. It meant Bird & Bird, who were then an outstanding IP boutique and still are, and Clifford Chance, who for some reason I thought were really good at IP litigation. I don't actually think I don't think that's right, but for some reason it's what I thought at the time. So I sent that in, and then I never heard back from Bird & Bird. Clifford Chance asked me to interview. Around that time, I won a debating competition, of all things, that was sponsored by Clifford Chance, sat next to the Clifford Chance senior partner, and I found out years later that he'd then sort of moved my probably hopeless application to the top of the pile. And that's how I got into Clifford Chance. So it's sheer dumb luck. No one should try and emulate that now. Bird & Bird, after I started at Clifford Chance, after I started as a trainee, I got a nice letter from Bird & Bird inviting me for interview. So a year and a half late. And
You're too late, isn't it?
back saying,
Yeah.
That's really kind, but you're a bit too late.
Definitely. I think I can definitely relate to that because I'm also doing a non-law degree at the moment. It's just great that you were able to get the foot in the door, to be honest, because I think at the end of the day, that's what law is mostly about, just trying to get your foot in the right places, making yourself through the right doors and things like that.
Although, I mean,
yeah,
your generation has an advantage and a disadvantage. The advantage is that there's so much material available. For us, we have to go round to law firms, get physical brochures. There were no videos. There obviously wasn't anything online. For you, everything is at your fingers. So on the surface, it's easy. The problem is that everyone knows that. So when you're interviewed, people expect you to have read all the stuff and be on top of it.
I know that you advise businesses on tax, EU law and international law. And I think it would be great for you to share your biggest challenge with EU and international law, especially in the current times with things like Brexit, which I'm sure you've heard a lot about as a role there.
Yeah, I mean, for everyone who's studied EU law and slogged through EU law and have been advising on EU law, it's a kick in the teeth for EU law to not be relevant anymore. But it's not quite that easy because the way the Withdrawal Act works is that EU law remains kind of relevant. It's incorporated on a continual basis going forward, except when it isn't. And that boundary between when EU law continues to apply and when it doesn't is really interesting and really difficult and really important. So yeah, that's probably one of the biggest challenge at the moment is working out where the hell we go with the Brexit, the end of the transitional period.
Definitely, yeah. It must have been crazy, like so much uncertainty at once. I understand it must be such a weird position to be in right now as well.
Yeah, it's particularly hard for clients who rely on EU law for certain tax matters. And I can't go into the detail of what they are, but they're there and it's very frustrating.
Definitely. So what do you think can make you stand out at an interview when it comes to applying for training contracts and vacation schemes? Do you have any sort of suggestions or tips?
So stand out badly, get the name of the firm wrong. I've interviewed people who've got the name of the firm wrong. I had a LinkedIn message the other day from someone who asked me for my help, given that Linklaters was such a great firm. So try and get the name of the firm right. The other thing, and it's a really tiny thing, is quite a few people I interview, instead of talking about the firm, talk about the company. And yeah, I like to think I'm a pretty fair guy. I'm not going to hold it against anyone, but it really sounds like you don't know anything about the legal sector if you refer to a law firm as a company. So And a lot of the professional world is language and terminology. It's true if you're a coder, it's certainly true if you're a doctor, it's true if you're a lawyer. And getting the language right is quite an important part of showing that you've done your research. So those are the things to do wrong. What are the things to do right? I think the things to do right is to be able to tell a good story and a true story about stuff you've done that's relevant to being a good lawyer. And the idea you have to have done 15 different internships is nonsense. You really don't. I had, I'm going to embarrass him now by mentioning probably the most memorable interview I had, where I asked the question, can you tell me about a time where you had to manage a difficult situation? And what would be a good answer to that? A good answer to that might be, I was running a university society and we always ran out of money, we managed to save it. Or it might be, I was managing a bar and it was all a disaster because of COVID and this is what I did. And those would also be really good answers. But the best answer was someone saying, so I'm an airline pilot and we were taking off out of Karachi when the left engine caught fire. And that's an awesome answer. So there's actually no legal answer you could give me about your legal experience, which is going to help unless you've actually been a lawyer. It's going to be something else. But think about things that you've done in your life at university, somewhere else, which show that you have the characteristics you need to be a lawyer. Don't tell me how good you've been. Show me.
I think it is very important, and especially with like how you said, like showing them and not telling them, because some people just sort of, I know that I do this for sure. I just sort of write what I've done, but I don't write what I've learned from or anything like that.
Yeah, totally. It's there's a screenwriting adage of show, don't tell, how a screen is a visual medium. And so you need to be demonstrating things rather than just having people say it. And it's true in business. It's certainly true in interviews that just asserting, come to me, I'm the best lawyer. There's no better tax lawyer than me. I know more tax than the others. I'm more experienced. No one's going to believe that. It sounds like complete hype. You have to demonstrate it and you have to show it.
Definitely. Is there anything else you'd like to tell anyone who's viewing, who is going to be watching the video, like any sort of tips or anything that you think would be sort of useful for them overall?
Well, I mean, anyone watching this video is probably in a weird place, having the weirdness of the last 6 months at this pivotal time in their lives, and probably feeling what ridiculous bad luck that is. And yeah, you're right, and it is, and it's going to be really hard. But I expect that in 10 years' time, we will still be picking over the consequences of the time we're in now. So really sort of stay alive to it and try and learn everything you can from it. Because when you become a lawyer, probably even if and when you become a partner, this time is going to be relevant to them. Just as the financial crisis, which is really a long time ago now, is still incredibly relevant to everything today.
Definitely, yeah. I think those are really good tips for people that are sort of looking into applying for law. Thank you very much for your time, and that was really useful. And I hope you've enjoyed like being asked all these questions as well.
Okay, you're really welcome.